today we will be having a look at Honkai Star Rail characters and figuring out and analyzing and interpreting and deducing whether the paths that the game assigns these characters, the in-game paths that we play as, actually fit the characters' lore, their beliefs, their lifestyles. We are going to have a look at all of these paths that are currently in the game, and we'll be going through each and every character and going through their lore, maybe some of their voice lines, and we're gonna figure out whether these paths that we use for them in-game are purely for gameplay purposes or whether there's actually something in their character that could fit. What I want to preface here is that this stream is not about deducing what path fits any character the best. This is about looking at what the game says their path is, or one of their paths is, and trying to figure out whether it makes sense. Whether you can look at the character and go, yeah, I can see why they could follow that path, whether consciously or unconsciously, subconsciously, whatever. The main sources of information that I'm going to be making use of in this entire stream will be, number one, just my general knowledge of the character, what I know and remember about them, which for some will be more, for some less. In-game character stories, some of their voice lines. If I don't have the character or if I don't have everything unlocked, we're just gonna take a look at the wiki and read from there. And yeah, we have three categories. Number one is you look at the character, you look at their lore, and you're like, yep, perfect match with the path that they've been given in-game. Then we have the one that's like, I wouldn't say it matches their character perfectly, but it makes sense. I can see why an Eon would look at that and go, yeah, I'll take it. And then we have category number three, which actually might be a few of these characters, where their lore or their beliefs, their lifestyles, whatever, does not match their in-game path at all. Do I go for 4-star Herta or do I go for the Herta? I feel like Herta might be one case that I'm going to skip, possibly, because now the Herta is out. And I feel like it might be more accurate to check her story because they do follow the same path. Yeah, I'm gonna skip 4-star Herta, and when we get to the 5 stars, I'm just gonna read both of their stories. Maybe I'll just read 4-star Herta's and 5-star the Herta stories. This looks hard to do. I will say that, of course, you know, like, I do not proclaim myself to be a lore master and that I know everything there is to know about these characters. No matter what I say here, there might always be something in like character interactions, in dialogue from quests that I'm overlooking, in which case feel free to point that out, feel free to correct me or, you know, add on to my bullshit. Just be nice about it. With March, do we check both of her paths or just preservation? I'll put her up here for now, or I'll put them up here for now, I guess, and we'll just see how it goes. Same with Ting Yun. I don't know if I'd include Ting Yun. I don't think I'm gonna. I think Herta and Ting Yun are kind of like weird areas where I'm like, they both have 5-star versions, so I don't know if I'd include them. Kind of same with Dan Heng, honestly. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But I feel like Dan Heng is kind of a different case than the Herta and Fugue, so I don't know. Looking forward to all the IPC cast? Oh dear. Oh dear. The 4-star Ting Yun isn't Ting Yun, but Fantalia, so I would say both. Yeah, that is true. That is true. I guess in that case, it would kind of be like checking whether Fantalia fits the harmony, question mark? We're starting with the path of destruction. Wham. And there, we have 4 characters to go through. We have Arlan, Hook, Xueyi, and Misha. Okay, so before we actually get into anything, and I didn't only realize this after already reading 2 stories of Arlan, let's first establish what the destruction is even about. And the path description, according to the wiki, those who follow the destruction path admire recklessness, anger, and destructive behavior of any sort. So let's see whether that actually fits Arlan. So let's see. The inarticulate head of the Herta Space Station's security department. While scientific research is beyond his understanding, Arlan is willing to risk his life to protect the staff who value research so very much. He is used to pain and wears his scars like badges of honor. Only when holding Peppy does the boy let down his guard and show a rare smile. Huh. So just from that description alone, I would say that I can see it. A tendency for destruction / self-destruction possibly. Even if it is for the sake of protecting people, I can see it. How is Arlan's work in the security department? Brother Arlan is the beacon that guides the security department, the core support for everyone's battles. Without him, the space station would fall to pieces in a day. Without him, people's lives would be ruined in 10 days. Without him, the station would be hellish in just 100 days. But he plays holodisc with Peppy during work hours, because he's finished all daily security tasks ahead of schedule. His mere presence is an inspiration to us all. But he plays holodisc with Peppy during work hours. How do you know that playing holodisc with Peppy isn't actually part of his job description? Interesting. I know so little about Arlan that even this is sort of new to me. You're not allowed to play with your phone while out on patrol. Give it to me. No, Brother Arlan. People are talking smack about you in the group chat. Don't you care? Nope. Too busy. Huh, have you got an urgent mission? Let me go with you. What happened? I'm getting Peppy to do rehab through playing holodisc. Oh, interesting. Let's keep going with his second character story. There are countless strange and valuable things around Miss Asta's house, but it's the dog at Death's door that attracts the most attention. What's more, her forlorn cries only increase in volume as her parents attempt to comfort her, telling her that this dog she picked up won't live for very long, and they are better off buying her another one. That filthy pup just lies there without the strength to even lift up its head and look around the people surrounding it, I suppose. The crying, arguing, and the silence, none of this has anything to do with it. At one point, he thinks it had already stopped breathing, so he bends down to check its nose. Just then, the dog suddenly licks his fingers, which is about the farthest distance it can stretch. Its tongue is wet. Wanna play holodisc? Its lifeless eyes suddenly lit up. Aww! Arlan's character, holodisc. He stops pacing the corridor and gazes out of the window into the tranquility of deep space, the dark circles around his eyes reflecting back at him. Another pair of bloodshot eyes appears at the window. Their owner looks more relaxed than she usually does before the researchers, and absent-mindedly lets out a huge yawn. You're up late. Not going to bed? I'm feeling anxious, so I'm just out for a patrol. I don't know which one is which. I'm assuming. Wait, this might be Asta and this might be Arlan, maybe? I just updated the firmware for the defense shield and security systems are all operating smoothly. Maybe I'm overthinking things, but I understand. You're the head of security and I trust your instincts. The space station remains brightly lit and operates without a stop. They each return to their respective posts. They both know that regardless of the protection of Madame Herta's fame, the defensive measures around the space station, and the round-the-clock vigilance of the security department, if a disaster were to occur, it would only take seconds. So those are the stories that I have available in the game, and now we're gonna head over to the wiki, and I'm gonna have to force myself to read the teeny tiny text. Okay, his last character story. Everyone's evacuated, Arlan, hurry up! There may still be survivors in sight. No, there aren't any more life signs in there. He thought he could trust Asta until the moment when countless antimatter legion pawns pour towards him like a tsunami. The signal from the Watcher Zone is faint. Asta won't be able to see this situation. He is now standing, alone, in the elevator. He has to make a decision, even if he has to disobey Asta's orders. No matter the cost, he has to block access to the elevator to save everyone. He cannot allow these monsters to get to the Master Control Zone. Sorry, Miss Asta. The Antimatter Legion strikes him down from behind before he can explain himself. He falls, and his remote communication disconnects. He had never hesitated, whether working in Miss Asta's home or after becoming Herta Space Station's head of security department. He had always taken for granted that since Miss Asta decided to head in one direction, he has to follow her. Arlan raises his head with great difficulty and the monsters move closer to him. He had never disobeyed an order from Miss Asta before. This is the first time. Hopefully it won't be the last time. This thought pops up in his head. Propping himself up with his greatsword, he slowly and firmly stands up. So, based on all of this, I think, actually, Arlan being on the path of destruction, while it might not match perfectly, it makes sense. Arlan is a very dedicated person. He's a fighter with seemingly little regard for himself. So there is some recklessness there. Maybe a good chunk of recklessness. I do think Arlan being on the path of destruction, even if it may not be the path that he himself is like actively following, it makes sense. I could see an argument for preservation, somewhat similar to Depart, so it isn't a perfect match. Yeah, there might be paths that, or a path that fits Arlan better. I think it's pretty clear that, like, you can follow more than one path, whether willingly or subconsciously, or, you know, because I don't think it would make sense if someone was only able to tread on one path. Like, it's not like an Eon just calls dibs and then you're with them until they decide, nah, I don't want you anymore. It's definitely possible for characters to follow multiple paths, and Destruction in Arlan's case might not be the best fit, but it is a fit. Next on the line is Hook. Right off the bat, I would say that Hook makes sense just because she's a little gremlin who likes causing chaos and property damage, apparently, it seems like. She is definitely a very wild kid. So off the bat, I would say it makes some sense. Head of the adventure squad, the Moles. She called herself Pitch Dark Hook the Great. She doesn't like to be called a kid and believes she can handle things herself without any help from adults. Adults adventure into the Fragmentum. Mr. Sampo adventures on the surface, Sampo Mansion, and patients take their risky adventures seeking treatment from Natasha. Under the leadership of Hook, children can also have their own adventures. An adventurous child. Character story part 1. Weather fine, mood very bad. No date. Today I broke one of the old witch's test tubes, and got chewed out. The old witch is terrible. She never lets us play together during lunch and only lets us take a nap. I hate her. We should rebel against her. Tyranny. We can't let her get her way. That is actually so cute. It's like a little diary entry. I'm gonna make a gang called the Moles and grab, kidnap, invite all the kids from the clinic. We'll take down the old witch together, and then we can eat whatever we want and have fun, and nobody can stop us. And I'll be the boss of the Moles, and the boss of the whole clinic too. I'll give that old witch a nice talking to every day and make her do all of the chores. Is she talking about Natasha? Yeah, I would assume that the witch is Natasha. Story 2. Weather freezing. Mood very happy. Today I went to the machine graveyard to find a suitable weapon. As the boss of the Moles, I've got to have a great weapon. I met a girl there. She was a few years older than me, but I'm still the boss, and was wearing a pretty red coat. But she had no shoes on. Oh, she met Clara. I don't know why she had no shoes on, since that's gotta be very cold. Maybe she wasn't feeling very cold, though. Her hair was white like snow, and it was pretty. I want white hair, too. Long and white hair. But she was very shy to talk to me. She was very shy. Too shy to talk to me at first, but that's cool. I super love talking and super love making friends. I chatted with her for a long time. I know her name is Clara, and her dad is a super big robot. Her dad? Oh. Her dad is really cool, but not as cool as Daddy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Firstman? She's my friend now, and she helped me find a really strong Diggertron. She's now an honorary member of the Moles. Aw, that's cute. It is very funny that Hook thought of the word kidnap before invite. Or sad. Honestly, it could be either one. And now, let's move to the wiki. Story 3. Weather still freezing. Mood bad, but it's crossed out for normal. Today, Alina's mom and dad came home to see her. Alina was very happy, and seeing her like this made me happy too. I thought of mom and dad. I haven't seen them for a very long time. Even though Daddy Firstman is very kind to me, I still miss my mom and dad. Oh. In the evening, Daddy explained to me again the reason why mom and dad couldn't come back, but I actually remember anyway, because Daddy has told me so many times. I found that Daddy is always forgetting things recently. I asked Natasha, and she said it's because Daddy is getting too old now. And I asked her if she can help fix Daddy's sickness, but she said she can't, and even apologized. I think the old witch is lying to me just because I've been a little bit naughty lately. She's the bestest doctor in our town and can fix everything, so why can't she fix Daddy? Fine, I've decided that I'll write down anything that Daddy said, because I'm the big bad boss of the Moles. Oh. See, already I'm like, I don't remember where exactly I put Hook. I think I put her in the 6 to 7 out of 10 tier, and now I'm like, yeah, definitely. Okay, again, no date. Address the clinic. Had a heart-to-heart conversation with Hook. The contents are as follows. Daddy Firstman was once a very good friend of Mom and Dad's. Back then, we all lived in a small town in the north. One day, Mom went into the Fragmentum and never came out again. Mom loved eating stone-grilled Dad missed her so much that he made me stone-grilled every day. Then one day when I came home, I saw Dad lying on the bed looking very uncomfortable. I bursted into tears and went to find Daddy Firstman next door. He said Dad was sick and he took Dad and me to see the town doctor. We stayed with Dad at the doctor's place for several days. In the end, we almost used up all our money. Dad secretly told me to save the money. He also told me that he was uncomfortable staying there and wanted to go home. So I went to Daddy and told him I wanted to go home with my dad. But when Daddy and I went to see him, he stopped talking. Daddy was on his knees and crying, but I didn't understand what was going on. Daddy explained to me that Dad missed Mom so much that he went to see her inside his dreams. I asked Dad, when will my dad wake up? Daddy just kept crying though and didn't answer me. I didn't cry. No, Natasha, I don't need any tissues. Actually, later I secretly asked the doctor something. I know that my dad is dead and won't come back forever. And Mom is the same. I know that Daddy doesn't want to make me sad, so he keeps on lying to me. I know that Daddy is the very best person in the whole world, and I like Daddy the most. So that's why I want to find lots of treasure with everyone so we can build Daddy a nice big house and help fix Daddy. Oh, baby! Oh, that's... So... I knew that Hook had no parents. I didn't know why she had no parents, and now I know. Oh boy. Hoyo does indeed hate kids. Wow. So now the question is, does the destruction make sense for Hook? I still think it makes sense, not necessarily because of any sort of like big beliefs, but just her behavior. Just her very, you know, reckless and adventurous and destructive behavior. And I think in Hook's case, you know, you can't really go too far with that because she is still a child and she's not gonna have like any hugely complex thoughts about like destruction of the self, of others and whatnot. Like she's just a kid, you know. I'm gonna put her in it makes sense for now, just because I don't know, her behavior and her childish attitude makes it fit. But I think for it to be a perfect match, it depends. Like I think she's too young to get a solid idea of her real beliefs, if you know what I mean. I think right now all we can look at is her behavior, and the way she just wants to go on adventures and have fun mainly. And you know, help her dad. It'll depend on where she goes later in life, if that general mindset sticks, if it intensifies, if it becomes a bigger core part of who she is. So for now, I would say it makes sense. Next on the list is Xueyi, of which I actually have all stories unlocked, so hell yeah. Let's see here. One of the judges of the 10 Lords Commission on the Luofu. She's in charge of detention among the 4 judges of detention, interrogation, incarceration, and punishment, with Iron Chain and Mara Sunder all in hand, in tireless pursuit of recidivists? Whatever that means. She will forthwith ensnare and subdue them all. The mortal coil of her past being has been reduced to ashes. She is reanimated via a puppet body. For each villain she captures, she gets in return half a day in the world of the living. This is workaholism, but it's workaholic or death. 10 Lords Perceptual, Karma Perpetual. Dressed as white as the driven snow, the judge strolled out from the dim street, obscuring his final escape. The man drew closer, but the shrill tremble in his voice betrayed his fear. How is catching them not enough? It may have started with a how, but not as a question, rather as a rhetorical one. The semantic analysis goes back and forth in the mind, and there's no other intel than the target clearly knew who the accomplice was. She decided to execute the mission assigned to her straight away. The eyeballs, forehead, chin, heart, the core esse in the lower abdomen. With a glance, she marked off all the parts that might make for a single effective strike. Despite Foxians being known for their quick reactions, her opponent had left himself wide open, and 2 rounds, max, should be enough to take care of things. But this blow missed. The judge looked at him with an air of curiosity. The man's body seemed to move like scurrying mice, with muscles undulating, and his eyes sparkled with the gleam of a well-executed plan. He panted violently. As though suffering from a critical illness, and during a burst of uncontrollable pain, his body shot out large swathes of fine hairs as his limbs and body swelled and tore open by some invisible force. Under the glow of moonlight within the delve, a monstrous wolfman stood up. Oh! In the view of the judge, the sanguine silhouette enveloping its body had burned up into a wildfire. You are seeking death. She has an urge to sigh out of habit, but her body no longer has that function. The partaking of the disciples of Sanctus Medicus concoction will only hasten your demise. The man's gaze barely wavers at all. The second I was discovered by you, I only ever had a few more days to live. The Foxian grabs the medicine pouch and pours out more pills into his mouth as though it were candy. You are a tool that sheds no blood and cry no tears. You could never understand. I have my reason for leaving here. A huge fist suddenly expanded, filling up the entire field of vision, and the judge barely had any time to react. Shaking her arms, the chain she clutched whipped into a circle as she tried to lasso the fist. The fist punched into her chest with astonishing force, splitting cracks into the ground like cobwebs, and creating a crater beneath where the white-robed judge was standing. There was no pain, only the gentle ringing of damaged ingenium parts. Ingenium? The white-robed judge was left befuddled. Part 2. Madame Xueyi, this body of yours is beyond salvation. I have to move you into a new puppet now. This process may leave you a little confused. Please bear with me. Similar conversations had been exchanged between her and... Oh, that's Xueyi, the spirit-farer, over and over again. She responded the same as always. Thank you. This time, please pick something sturdy. She saw Xueyi's foxy ear twitch. Was it out of frustration? She knew not. Her eyes could see, but they had no capacity for recognizing emotion. Interesting. And maybe this was through no fault of her eyes. I've packed all the best, hardest, and most flexible part into Madame Xueyi's body, but your crates... Okay, since we know this is Xueyi now. But your rates of injury and damage are still the highest in the division. The craftsmen of the interrogation have started to grumble. Once you put me together, I will just give each of them a light tap on the head, okay? Never mind. That is not... Okay, I don't know who's talking. A familiar voice came beside her as she lay at 6s and 7s. They're still flesh and blood and cannot stand your jokes. Long hair drooped down to cover her face, and a disturbance signal emitted from her artificial skin. The woman's face, looking down, had each independent feature combined into a new one that was both extremely familiar yet also kind to her. This is Hanya. Sister, having an ingenium body will always lull you into a false sense of invulnerability. However, I have to use the remaining days of reanimation to offset premature damage to this body of yours. I hope you can remember during your next mission that you've still got a sister out there who cares about you. Remember, otherwise you'll have to get Xueyi to write this line into your mind. Just kidding. Xueyi, no need for that. I trust my sister can remember it. So, Madame Xueyi, let's begin. Oh, this is bold text. Interesting. Her stories are long. Xueyi's stories are unexpectedly long. She felt herself being sliced open, copied, split into 1,000 pieces, and uploaded into millions of circuits housed at the Ten Lords Commission. When in a flash, she shuffled through countless documents inscribed in the Hall of Karma, and then, after a fleeting glimpse at all the souls of the Xianzhou, the memory vanished. Moments later, she entered the body of a nearby Arumatan? Spectral envoy, feeling both the strength of the metal body alongside the unshakable will of the Jade Abacus. She has 1,000 pairs of eyes, watching over the people of Starskiff Haven with the wings and sidelight of a cycrane. She has 1,000 ears, scanning the changing waves and pitches among the infinite possible frequencies. Her 1,000 hands write handwritten judgments on the Spiritfarer's body, and her 1,000 feet give chase over unfamiliar avenues. She knows that she's only inside the Jade Abacus circuitry of the Ten Lords Commission, but she feels as though she were everywhere and gradually fading away. A familiar voice rang out again beyond the waveform of the voice print, and she was trapped fast inside a memory. The white-robed judge was left befuddled. Sister? Sister! She was shocked. She was shocked! She was shocked? God damn it! She was shocked! To discover herself beneath an azure sky, surrounded by lush, undulating waves of wheat growing. She smiled as she braided together the twigs and flowers she picked up earlier, placing this wreath on the tiny head of the little girl in her lap. The girl turned back to look at her, smiling even more brightly than the flowers. She held onto this face tightly, vowing to eternally protect this delicate, fragile face. Vowing to do many, many things for her. As soon as she was distracted, this face relaxed and grew broader. There was no trace of weakness in those gorgeous eyes that needed her care. Only perseverance. This face once walked side by side with her, boarding star skiffs together and cruising out beyond the borders. Sandstorms, frost, mud marks, time has left behind much stirred upon his face, but these hands will always gently and meticulously wipe away everything. Just like herself, her sister has grown and matured. She shouldn't always wipe her sister's face clean in front of everyone like an anxious mother, but how could she ever let go of things? She vowed to protect this face forever, vowing to do many, many things. She looked up from the blood and fire of the scorched earth. On the ground lay thousands of familiar but lifeless faces, including that of her sister. But she couldn't find her own face. I can save her. I can save all of you. All it takes is a wave of the branch, and I can teach flesh to regrow from the mere bones, or let petals rise up out of the dust to the flower once more. You know very well I can. Underneath her, a strange tree with 1,000 faces spoke to her, and to everyone, they waved their branches, penetrating deep into the earth. I am Xueyi. I am eternal. From me you shall gain true immortality. Sobbing, she closed her eyes, incapable of providing any resistance. At this moment, she was just an insignificant fruit upon this giant tree, powerless against mighty roots. A colossal blazing sword plunged down from the heavens, scorching away the sweet yet putrid atmosphere. A towering figure in formidable armor crashed onto the battlefield like a meteor, bellowing at the towering tree. The strange tree blossomed once more like a perennial flower, its golden branches growing ferociously to tightly entangle the enemy. Each time you overcome death, I am beyond overjoyed. Like them, your flesh and blood are insignificant, but your pain is something that pleases me. The branches laughed shrilly, letting each head speak one word on their behalf, stringing together a sentence. Teng Xiao, what do you plan on using to kill me this time? I'm curious. With myself, the man replies calmly. Behind him, the golden illusion plunges the colossal blade straight down into the ground from high up in the sky. The cries grow more urgent. She could feel herself being once again filtered, deleted, merged, and stuffed up into a narrow, unlimited self. These so-called judges of the netherworld and envoys of the 10 lords truly amount to nothing. Like everyone who jolts away from a dream, she returns to her body but has forgotten the momentary dream. The judge, dressed in white, feels befuddled. Hold on. Teng Xiao. Is that a name, or is that like some sort of I guess, title? Because I'm reading this and I'm thinking of Jing Yuan. Like the golden illusion, like behind him, the golden illusion plunges straight down to the ground from high up into the sky. This right here, like, I'm thinking of the Lightning Lord. The raspy laughter of the Foxian next to the judge's ear sounds like the howling of a wolf. The man took away dozens of the most valuable pallets in the organization. Now it appears that he is simply lacking in combat experience. Ingesting just one pellet is already enough to easily crush the judge before him. At the end, Ingenia have their limits. They are nothing compared to the immeasurable potential of the bodies of us long-lived species. Foxian chuckles and tries to retrieve his arm, only to find several chains entangling it. The chains are interlocked and intertwined over his skin like spider silk. The judge's eyes are glowing through the gaps in her long black hair, which cascades down her face. Her expression reminds the Foxian of a predator that had smelled blood. My ingenium organ, deities of the 5 organ senses, has been damaged. The part responsible for my sympathy has been reduced. Oh. It's the former general? Okay. Because I was like, that sounds like the Lightning Lord, but that is not Jing Yuan's name. Okay, nice. That's ridiculous. As the Foxian curls his fingers into the shape of a claw and powerfully slams it down, a tree-pronged spike pierces through his palm. He shrieks in pain. I originally wanted to let you undergo interrogation in the shackling prison with your body intact, but you have shattered my sympathy. Just drop the act. Have you forgotten that I'm tied to you through your chain? The wounded beast caught in the trap starts struggling. The Foxian pulls the chain and drags the white-robed judge into his arms. Every inch of his massive muscles contracts like coiled ropes in response to his anger. The unsettling sound of bones sliding out of their sockets and becoming misaligned pops loudly in the air. Ugh. Just like how you put it, body of flesh and blood holds unfathomable potential, but it has a crucial setback. It feels pain. The white-robed judge's voice hums as the man's agonizing screams resonate in the night sky. She pops her shattered right arm up. Her broken iron bone protrudes out like the sharp tip of a spear, stabbing into the Foxian's jaw that already appears like a wolf's. Wow! The twisted fugitive scrambles in all directions but fails to break free from the judge's relentless pursuit. He rolls around on the ground in excruciating pain, finally losing consciousness and going limp like a puddle of goop. You say I am a tool that sheds no blood and cries no tears? The judge, now dressed in a blood-stained robe, slowly rises from the massive body of the criminal. It's abominations of abundance like you that have shattered my sympathy. She tries her best to push her skull, spine, and patella back to the correct positions, then fastens to her waist the severed arm that cannot be reattached no matter what. What will her sister and Huo say about this time? The habit slumbering deep in her mind makes her want to heave a sigh, but her body no longer has that function. Honestly, it fits. Would I say it fits perfectly is the question. I think it fits, yeah. Reckless behavior, self-destructive behavior, it matches, yeah. I think that's our first pretty perfect match. Not much to say there. Now, we have one more 4-star for the Path of Destruction. Next is Misha. And right off the bat, I'm gonna say I have no clue. I don't really know too much about Misha anyway. So, I call these the opposite, but let's read the story. Hell yeah. Let's see whether this lovely boy fits the destruction. I honestly have no clue. I have no idea. This one I feel like might be interesting. A lovable and thoughtful bellboy at the Reverie Hotel. He wishes to become an intergalactic adventurer like his grandfather. He is extremely hardworking and is skilled at fixing a variety of machines. He also has a fondness for listening to the interstellar rumors the guests share with him. He hopes he can grow up faster and looks forward to embarking on his star-treading journey. As the pocket watch struck 6 o'clock in the morning, the familiar aroma of milk and toast wafted into his narrow bedroom from the kitchen. With the impending arrival of guests, he hurriedly rose from bed and positioned himself at the doorway. The scent of motor oil, leather, and tobacco greeted him as several tall figures entered the threshold. Welcome! The adventurers, who had journeyed from distant planets, paid little attention to the small figure welcoming them at the door, engrossed in their animated tales of peculiar encounters. These stories never failed to stir Misha's emotions, attracting his attention. Have you seen a massive beam coming down from the sky and burn through a lush planet? I was actually right there, and our ship got blasted away by the insane gust of wind. I risked my life to snap some photos. A massive beam coming down from the sky and burn through a lush planet. That could be a lot of things, honestly. Let me tell you, that's nothing compared to the crazy stuff I've experienced. Once, I ventured into this abyss in the memory zone, and it was like a total nightmare. Or it was like a total I thought it was like a total nightmare. With all these unimaginable monsters and even ghosts lurking around. You think that's scary? Try witnessing the swarm that completely blots out the entire sky. Barely made it out alive from that hellish encounter, and guess what? The whole dang planet got wiped out. Enviously listening to those tales, whether genuine or fabricated, Misha mustered the courage to speak up. Excuse me, but if I want to venture into the galaxy, what should I learn? The conversation came to a halt, and several explorers turned their gaze towards him. What'd you say, kiddo? You want to explore the galaxy? Yeah, I wish I could become an adventurer, just like my grandpa. That's quite an ambition. Hey, kiddo, this line of work is no joke. You'll need to learn how to handle weapons, fix things on the fly, and navigate through all sorts of obstacles. It requires a wealth of knowledge. I understand. Grandpa's always complaining about getting lost and machines breaking down. Maybe I can start by addressing those issues. Hey, just stop scaring that little one. Just stop scaring that little one. The elderly man at the forefront cleared his throat and turned his attention to Misha. You can learn everything you need, but you really need to think if this is truly what you desire. Are you truly eager to achieve it? And how long are you willing to stick with it? Those are the most crucial questions, little one. As the pocket watch struck 2 o'clock in the afternoon, signaling the end of his duties, he changed his overalls and started the task of overhauling the machinery. Walder led the way, occasionally pausing to tap on intricate mechanisms. Misha followed closely behind, attuned to the noises emanating from the machinery and adeptly locating the issues. Today's assignment involved repairing a multitude of broken clocks, rusty, discarded, missing gears, or shattered. To Misha, they appeared as lost sailors desperately in need of guidance. Please head west, Mr. Roll Clock, and hey, Mrs. Pocket Watch, please don't stop there. Mr. Alarm Clock, please have a meal before resuming, and you three ladies over there, please follow Mr. Pocket Watch. That's so cute. At that moment, all the malfunctioning clocks sprang to life. Misha turned the wheels and adjusted the hands as if he were a captain navigating the sea of time. Captain Misha, we're back on track. The fog has lifted. We're about to reach our destination. Let's keep sailing. The sea won't hinder us. In Misha's eyes, the clocks seemed to possess lives of their own, expressing their delight in moving forward. Walter smiled and patted his head. Looks like I won't have to worry about time here. After all, you are the captain of the clocks. So far, I'm not seeing anything destructive. As the pocket watch struck 7 o'clock in the evening, Misha finished his supper and settled onto the cot that had been modified from a cupboard. Gazing into the darkness surrounding him, he listened to the ceaseless ticking of the pocket watch, the most blissful hours of this day. No work, no reality, only unrestricted flights of fantasy. After traveling through the fog, his fantasy story reached the most exciting part of the sea battle. He extended his hands, pulling back his companions who had been knocked over by the waves, and he drew another line across the canvas as if vanquishing a sea monster. Captain, wake up! It's clearing up! He rubbed his eyes and looked incredulously at the sight before him. A golden pocket watch, which had transformed into a figure with arms and legs, dressed in a uniform and red bow tie, beckoned him over. Is that who I think it is? A silver mirror lady reflected him, adjusting her groan and peering through binoculars at the distant sea. The storm from the previous night had disappeared without a trace. A refreshing sea breeze fluttered Misha's uniform, and in the distance they could see the outline of the new world. Look, Captain! The coast is not far off! Taking Misha's hand, Mr. Pocket Watch and Miss Mirror gracefully leaped onto the clouds before he could react. Period. The three of them were airborne, gazing at the boundless sea and the crescent-shaped continent below them. Mr. Pocket Watch and Miss Mirror cheered, pulling Misha into a joyful tap dance. He held his companions' hands tightly, his heart filled with amazement and joy. Are you my companions? We faced countless challenges and gotten lost many times along the way, but we finally found the new world. At dawn, Misha woke up from his dream. A tear rolled down from the corner of his eye. Looking around his bedroom, he noticed the pocket watch pressed against his chest, and the mirror had fallen off the wall. Wiping away the tears, Misha felt as if he had lost nothing, yet he had lost everything. Baby! The poor baby! In part 4, as the pocket watch struck 6 o'clock again in the morning, the familiar aroma of milk and toast wafted into his narrow bedroom from the kitchen as usual. He had settled into his life, burying his dreams deep within his heart. He was no longer easily captivated by the stories of the guests, nor did he hold on to the hope of his grandfather's immediate return. Maybe that's how adults are. They don't keep their promises and they don't really want to listen to children. He took the guests' suitcases and bags. The guests walked away without a second glance, leaving him alone and muttering to himself. He went back to his room of clocks and checked the various clocks displaying different times from different time zones as usual. He stared blankly at the wall full of clocks, imagining the stories and worlds that existed within them. Lost in thoughts of these fantastical realms, he unfolded a drawing paper and began sketching the adventures he experienced with his imaginary companions. That was the end of the story. Farewell, my companions. I'll stay in the new world, and once it's fully built, I'll continue traveling with you to other new worlds. Farewell, Captain Misha. May our paths cross again. All his companions left, except his ever-excited first mate, Mr. Pocket Watch, and the gentle Miss Mirror. They had navigated through mists and across the sea together. In crucial moments, Misha had steered their ship in the right direction. Now, the child named Misha would embark to build a new kingdom on a new continent until the opportunity arose for another journey. If I'm to draw something else, my next creation will be about adventures in the new world. As he finished the last stroke, he sensed some kind of familiar sound paired with vibrations, as if a colossal being had emerged from the depths of the universe and landed outside the hotel gate. He dropped his brushes, opened the door, and ran out. Welcome to the Astral Express, glistening in the morning light. Tiredly, proudly waited there, parked and quiet, just like in the dream. Damn! So, Mr. Pocket Watch, obviously clocky. Who is Miss Mirror? Rosalina. That's another nameless, right? Black Swan? Theorized to be Black Swan. Oh, like Black Swan is theorized to be Rosalina? Oh, interesting. I didn't know about that theory. Interesting. So, the destruction does not seem to fit Misha. I would almost argue that he seems to be on the exact opposite end. One concept or one idea of the destruction, or one philosophy, I guess, is embracing the end. If we wish to welcome the new, then we must first embrace the end. But with Misha, like, literally saying that, like, referring to his little clocks, that, like, he doesn't like swapping out old pieces for new, he doesn't like replacing things, that almost seems like completely contradictory to the destruction. So do we say complete opposite here? For Misha as the character, as the, I guess, like, sort of like creation himself. Because what is Misha? Misha is, he's not... Was he also just a memory zone creation? A meme? He's a meme? Yeah. He does eventually embrace the end, but not with the intent of destruction, but for harmony. Yes, and that's what I'm getting at, is that is... In my head, I am sort of separating Misha and Mikhail. Although they are pretty much the same person. But this part of Mikhail, so to speak, does not seem to be fond of the idea of embracing the end, of embracing that things come to an end. He does embody the trailblaze pretty well, but that's not his path. I mean, you can walk more than one path. Maybe I'll do one more that's like orange? It doesn't fit. He's somewhere here. Maybe this is a little bit too strong, but I do think that his beliefs are very much on the opposite end of the spectrum. And with that, we are done with the destruction characters.